Diane in Denmark here, and rah rah rah, it is Wednesday, and it's not just any old Wednesday. I don't have my pom-poms here, but I do actually have some peonies from our garden, which if you look at them, they're like really good pom-poms. I love peonies. The white ones are now blooming. Anyway, just to check in with you today, as I mentioned yesterday, today, Wednesday 5th of June, is a big day in Denmark. We've got Constitution Day, we've got Father's Day, Farsdag as it's called in Danish, and it's also the polling day for the Danish election. So everything is going on here, but everything is also not going on here because as it's Constitution Day, most of the stores are closed, but a lot of schools and nurseries and workplaces open. So it's a kind of confusing holiday. And some people have a half-day holiday. Just add that to the mix. Anyway, I thought I'll just do a brief check-in with you today. Because I'm going to be off the next couple of days. I'm going to the Northside Music Festival. Woohoo! And I'll kind of pop up sometime. But I promised to check in with you about this area, the garden. I don't know if you remember, at the beginning of the month, I said to you that I had taken the Flylady Zones, you know, zone 1 through 5, and I've applied it to the garden, to the yard, if you want to call it that. And I promised to check in with you at the end of the month, once I'd been through the zones, and tell you how I got on. So this is what it's going to be today, and also I've got a couple of other things to show you in the garden. Anyway, let me just take my... Now, I made very simple notes at the beginning of the month, and I've just scribbled stuff down, and I will change these up going forwards. And again, I'll check in with you probably again at the end of the summer to show you how I got on. Anyway, what I did was I took the Flylady Zones and I thought about the, you know, the classic Flylady Zones and how that could be applied to the garden. Oh, I hope you can see me because I can't see you. The sunshine is coming. And once again, beautiful day here in Denmark. And look, I've got a dress on for the 3rd day running, and I might even wear my sandals today. I've got my welly boots on. I'm out in the garden. So I've taken the classic Flylady Zones, and I thought, you know, what would remind me, like zone 1 is the entryway, the hall, the dining room, and for me that's like, oh, the entryway to the house, the pavement outside, we keep that free of weeds, you know, coming into the garden, the garage, things like that. So just to give you a quick run through of what I did this month, and actually I just made wee notes as I was doing things, you know, each week. And when I look at it now, I think, oh my goodness, I did so much, because I had it written down and I could kind of choose something from the zone each week, just like we do with Flylady cleaning. So for zone 1, which was like entryway, hall, dining room, in our garden, I was out removing all the weeds on the front pavement. We have a really long pavement, and in our commune, it's up to the house owner to keep that nice and free without overhanging branches. So I've removed the weeds, and I did it again last night because we're back to zone 1. And normally I remove the big ones by hand, and then I use my weed burner you just quickly burn the tops of weeds. You don't need to be incinerating them. So I did that. The overhanging branches, we've actually got a few of those now, and I'll get my son to help me with those probably this weekend. I swept the garage last time round, swept the paths, and also with the front door I ended up painting, you know, painting all the little dings on the front door, and I also ended up painting what you call in Danish the sokkel of the house. Now that's a funny thing about, you know, I haven't lived in Britain for 30 years. I'm Scottish, from Edinburgh, and I left Edinburgh when I was 21 to go and work in Luxembourg for the British judge at the European Court of Justice. And then I moved here 20 years ago with my husband. And there are some words that I can't remember what it's called in English, because when I was a child, you know, or a teenager, that thing around the house, it wasn't necessary for me to know that word. Just like when, like having a baby, and I know all the Danish words for having a baby and all the things that are involved, you know, at the hospital. But I don't know the English word, because, you know, I've never had a baby in a kind of a British environment, and I had my babies here in Denmark. Anyway, the sokkel of the house is like the very end part, like the foot of the house, and our one is painted white. So I repainted part of the stonework around the edge of the house. If anybody knows what the proper fancy term is for that, let me know. But anyway, the main thing is I painted it, and I got some special cement paint, or beton as it's called in Danish, just like the French word, and I've started painting the bottom part of the house, so that's done. What else? Zone 2 in Flylady Land is the kitchen, and I was thinking, okay, how could I fit that in with the garden? It was like, oh, anywhere where we kind of ate, you know, sit and eat and drink outside. So I cleaned off the deck. I did that, and I scrubbed it down, you know, with some alley cleaner. So I've done that, and I hosed it down afterwards. I also cleaned off the boxes that hold the cushions for, you know, the cushions that we use for the outdoor furniture. So got that done. And I also had, you know, any fruit trees, stuff like that. We actually called in the tree surgeon, and I don't know if you can see behind that, that's the aftermath. The tree surgeon came and he topped the apple trees for us. It wasn't a job that we could do ourselves. It's way too dangerous to get up there, and he knew what he was doing. He had the special equipment. And now we're taking down all the branches that are left over. That's a job in hand. My hubby and the kids are doing that at the moment, getting those into the bins for collection for the refuse. So we actually got the apple trees done this month. That was great. What else? Zone 3, which is you know, the bathroom plus one other room, and I was thinking, you know, bathroom, you know, swish and swipe, anything to do with cleaning stuff in the garden. So I washed my gardening gloves, go me, and you've seen my gardening gloves from IKEA. I got a really good pair of you know, really cheap. I mean, when I say good, it wasn't expensive, but nice ones from IKEA, which are perfect T1 in Dressing Your Truth colours. They're tea red with little polka dots on them. They're great. I washed off the garden furniture, and I also cleaned off the lawnmower and the lanterns. So it's funny how all these little things have added up, because it didn't seem like I was doing a lot at the time, but as I said, now that I see it all written down, it's like, gosh, I really did a lot. Zone 4 is in Flylady Land, is the master bedroom. So I was thinking anything to do with beds. My hubby, he has done a lot of the weeding. I'm not so much into weeding, and I like to edge things and go out with the weed burner and all those kind of tools. I'm not so into, you know, weeding beds. Anyway, he's done that, though of course that's an ongoing process. And I've edged the borders of the lawn. You know, I use the trimmer thing, and then sometimes I use the weed burner if it's grown too much, and that stops the grass growing and gives you a nice border. So I've done that, and swept the paths. Sweeping the paths is a task that we normally do every week. And then I kept zone 5, that was like for any other business. And a couple of things immediately came up. I thought, declutter the shed. That's something that, you know, it's good to keep on your radar. What have you got in your shed? Because I know a lot of us, we tend to just kind of shove things in there at the end of the day, and then, you know, 3 months later we're thinking, oh, what is this? And so it's a good thing to maybe declutter your shed from time to time. Just kind of take as much out as you can, see if you're using it. The same with, you know, tools. How many tools have you got in there? Do you need 4 old lawnmowers? And also for zone 5, I thought about anything to do with our bike shed, the bikes. We pump up the bikes with air, check the tires, check the lamps, the bike lights are working, so that's done. And I think that was it. So all in all, it's been a really good process for me, because before, in Flylady, I would say, you know, at the beginning of the month I always like to keep the pavement clear, so it looks nice when people come in. But the other jobs, I get a bit bored, and for me, having the list of tasks for each zone, but then just being able to choose something from the list, that keeps it interesting for me. So, you know, if I'm not feeling like weeding, I can do edge the lawn, or if I don't want to do some washing off of stuff, I can go and do some pruning of bushes. So do you see how it works? It gives me a kind of framework, like the rest of the thing for the Flylady Zones, but it just keeps things ticking over, and I can get to things as I want to. you may be the type that has to have everything written down and cross them off. I like to be able to kind of change things up. That's what works for me. That's what keeps it kind of fresh and interesting. The same with the Flylady work. That's why I like to pick and choose from what I'm doing in the zones each month. Anyway, I said I would show you another couple of things. So let's go around to the front of the house, and we may see a wee. I may show you a few flowers on the way. So just hold on. Okay, just a few things along the way. These are elderflowers. And elderflowers are actually a weed. It's a bush which just kind of grows on its own. But you can use them, we use them to make elderflower champagne, or you can wait until the berries come, if you don't pick the flowers, and then you can make a really good elderberry syrup, you know, which is very good if you've got a cold, loads of vitamin C. And let's go somewhere else. I actually forgot to mention something else that I painted. I prepped our old bench from the garden, and I gave that a couple of coats of paint, so that's ready to go again. And while I had my paintbrush out, I started doing the little playhouse. I know a lot of you ask about that when you see my photos on Instagram. It's a wee playhouse that we bought for the kids when, oh gosh, how old was my son? About 5 years old. So it's like 14 years old now, that playhouse, and so many kids have played in it. You know, in Denmark, when you have a kid's birthday, you invite the whole class, either all the boys or all the girls, or the whole class. There's none of that picking and choosing stuff. So you can imagine how many kids have been in and out of that playhouse over the years, and sitting up on the roof. It's actually a marvel that it's still actually standing. So anyway, I may do some more paint work on that, and I forgot to mention I also painted the outside of our other deck. Let's go around. Oh, and that deck there's the one where we have our dinner in the evening. Well, let's go around to the other one. Okay, and this is our other deck, which is a round one. It's got wood decking, and it's got metal work that goes around side. I've painted this with stone paint. I cleaned it off and did that. I kind of got carried away once I got my paintbrush out. And I also did the metal work. So go with me. There's still a few areas. We've got a little Romeo and Juliet balcony up there. That's the next project that I'm probably working on. But let's go around somewhere else, because we've got a wee funny detail from the house. I mean, our house is from 1933, so there's always some kind of weird and wonderful thing. Just hold on. Okay, now you've probably seen this before. I've talked about it in a previous video. But this little opening, it used to be a door right through to the kitchen. It's from the time when the house was built. And in the old days, probably the milkman and the baker would come and make a delivery, and they would open up the little door here and leave the milk and the bread for the family, and then the family could get it from the other side, and there was another door. It's all been bricked up long ago, but we've decided to keep the door because it's just such a lovely thing. It's a copper door. You can see that the Danes, they really love copper, and even more, they love the effect with the rain and the water on copper. It turns out a different colour. I don't know if you can hear, but it's the rubbish collection today for bottles. So if you hear a lot of smashing going on, they're having a smashing time over there. Okay, and a few last things. I'll just show you a few of the flowers that we have in the garden. You can see some rhododendrons at the back. Okay, more rhododendrons here. And up here is another one of my favourite bushes. I can't remember the name of it. I think in Danish it's either a Donnebusk or a Kaiserbusk, which means a queen bush or a chancellor bush. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me what it is. I really love this one. It's one of the early ones that we get in summer here. The only problem is kind of rains, wee petals everywhere, makes a real mess of the path. But anyway, it looks nice when it's in bloom. Let's see if we can find something else. And these are hortensia, but it will be probably a couple of months before they really start blooming. They're quite late this year. Oh, and more of that one. And we've got a couple of fruit bushes, or I should actually say trees. We've got the cherry tree, and those are just coming. They're just starting. Can you see that? And also I've got a really nice plum tree, which we planted about 5 or 6 years ago, and that's really coming up now. Hold on. Yeah, so this plum tree started out about this size, and this year it really looks like we're going to get a lot of plums. Last year I think I got 3 plums in all, but I'm hoping for a mega crop this year. Anyway, let me just sit down and say my usual farewell, because after this I'm off to the Northside Music Festival, and anyway, let me sit down. Okay, we are back where we started, and I hope I gave you a few ideas on how you can move forward with your garden or with your yard, that you don't need to be doing hours and hours, but just, you know, taking 15 minutes, maybe even today because it's anti-procrastination day, just doing something, and it really does set the ball rolling, especially me when I get the paintbrush out. It's like, you know, if anything doesn't move, I'm going to be painting. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday, anti-procrastination day in Flylady land. I've actually got one task that I need to do in the garden today, and that is removing the wax candles from the lanterns, because if you saw last year, I had you know, suddenly the hot weather was upon us, and the sunshine, and all the wax candles that we had in our lanterns kind of melted in the heat just like we did. So I'm going to remove those right now, and I'll just put in some fancy stones or something inside just to so we can leave them there. Anyway, next time I see you, I shall hopefully be checking in from the the Northside Festival, and otherwise have a great day. Happy Father's Day to any of you who are celebrating that. Oh, and we had planned ahead that the kids have got a present for my husband. He's working today, so he'll get his present when he comes home, but I also bought him a wee present. He's not my dad, but just as a wee gift from, and I bought tickets for us to go and see Bill Bailey. I don't know if you know Bill Bailey, the British comedian and musician, but we really like Bill Bailey, and he's playing in Copenhagen in I think it was 1st of October, so we're all prepped. So anyway, live long and prosper. May the Danish summer hygge be with you. You can hear, it's not Tweet and Sparky, you can hear in the background, it's the blackbirds outside, and I shall see you when I see you. Okay, bye for now.